Survival games to me are bloody dangerous. As someone who's primarily an MMO player, I love seeing number go up with a strong sense of progression. Survival games in recent years have definitely been offering that more and more, and I think nowadays there's a big overlap of players who love both MMOs and survival. Recently I've played multiple survival games that have had me sat at my computer completely hooked for 12 hours per day until completion. Whilst I'm playing these games, the addiction is like that of an MMO, but once I beat the game there's not too much replayability and I move on. This is a genre that I've really come to love. However, to me, it's always felt like survival games have been missing something. Usually the whole feeling of surviving the elements goes away once you've entered the mid-game. Usually you spend so long doing the mundane gathering that you start questioning if you're actually having fun, and usually the difficulty of these games can be completely cheesed just by toggling some XP and balancing sliders to speed things up. On top of that, once you're in the end game and you've built your big epic base, it generally feels empty and lifeless, like you're the ruler of an empty kingdom. Well, not in this survival game. ASKA has completely consumed my life for the past week. Look at this Sony Vegas project, 35 hours of footage in 4 days. I'm already over 70 hours playtime. I'm on my 4th world with plans to soon start a 5th world, and the game is still in early access with a lot more to come. So what makes ASKA unique? Well, it's basically a hybrid of multiple genres: colony sim, automation, survival, third-person RTS, dark fantasy, and action RPG. You start out with the goal of rebuilding your tribe from scratch. You recruit NPCs, give them jobs, and they deal with most of the tedious gathering. They can help you build structures, craft weapons, store items, and also be equipped with gear to help defend your base. Base defense is a big deal. Monster invasions will spawn and get progressively more difficult as time goes on. Aside from that though, you also need to survive the elements. ASKA has 4 seasons. You start in spring and should try to prepare for the brutal winter where food is scarce. Your villagers can freeze to death, and you're constantly racing to prepare for the next invasion. In ASKA, you cannot skip the nighttime. Maps are procedurally generated. Custom difficulty options are quite limited, so there's not much you can do to cheese the difficulty of the game, which I really like. There's basically no cap on how many villagers you can recruit, so you could potentially colonize the entire map if your PC can handle it. The game has terraforming, and aside from the dynamic spawning events, there's also challenging bosses to hunt down. This video is sponsored by Sand Sailor Studios, but I don't take sponsorships unless I can speak my mind about a game, the good and the bad. And despite me playing over 70 hours for what was supposed to just be a quick first impressions vid, ASKA has a lot of problems that I'd like to see the devs fixed. Like, my first impressions for this game were not good initially, but the fact I played so much, as well as the mostly positive reviews on Steam whilst in early access, shows the game has some serious potential. So if you like what you see, click the link in the description below to buy ASKA now. As of making this video, it's also 40% off, so go grab it now. ASKA, open world Viking themed survival game, right up my alley. Let's jump into it. So starting out in ASKA, set up your world type, normal or custom. Custom allows you to adjust the smoothness and height of terrain, the starting season, year length, as well as weather and day length. Note, there's no options here to substantially speed up progression. There's also difficulty options for invasions, monster density, and monster population, but nothing to make the enemies themselves substantially weaker. Like I said in the intro, I'm glad the game doesn't give you the options to ruin your sense of progression. Choose a character, ASKA for female or Ragnar for male. I obviously went with Ragnar. Each character has their own base stats, and you've got some very limited customization options, with further options unlockable via achievements. Upload to cloud, yes, and we'll call our world Relica. Only the Chads are gonna know that reference. Little intro cutscene set in the story, and we just appear shipwrecked. Wait, what? Is that some kind of god? The god's decree: construct the Eye of Odin and rebuild your tribe. Movement controls: move around with WASD, you can jump with spacebar. Pressing shift allows you to sprint. Pressing control is crouch. If we double tap shift, we can dodge roll. Left click is a light attack, right click is a heavy attack. In the bottom right it says that Z is search area. That seems to highlight resources. So let's start gathering things. Those reeds that I gathered actually appear on my back. Nice bit of attention to detail. Can we swim? We can, but we are now cold and wet, apparently. Next, I ran around the beach gathering random things, familiarizing myself with the controls and looking for some direction. Performing certain actions for the first time made some kind of achievement menu pop up, and eventually I found something called a wisdom wisp, which gives a very limited tutorial, first instructing me to make a simple fire. You kind of place the blueprint and then you supply it. Turn the simple fire into a campfire. At this point the game tried to teach me about the building upgrade system, but it confused the hell out of me at first. Basically in ASKA you place the base structure for something down first, then you go up to it and press T and you're given a bunch of upgrade options, at which point you then need to gather more mats, then supply them to the structure. Wood harvesting level 7. I do like that you get all of these like level ups pop up, seeing the number go up. Good brain feeling. Upgrade this with a fire cover. Supply. Interesting that I haven't seen any wildlife or enemies yet. I've been wandering around quite a bit. Hey! What is that? Fucking hell! I've been in peace mode for the whole thing, and then this bloody skeleton thing pops out. Oh, it's run off. Oh, there's another one. Well, I'm startled. We need it. Oh God, we can't build and move at the same time. Oh, shoot it with my arrow?
Nope.
All right, we'll wait for it to attack. Then we'll whack, whack. Heavy attack. Heavy attack. Knock it down. Yeah, just spam that right click. Nice. Add a barbecue. Supply the barbecue. Smash in the floor with the hammer. So now I can build a shelter. Missing equipment, hose. I got my first hoe. First of many, hopefully. Next we learn about building larger structures. These usually require some terraforming by flattening the land, and you then go through multiple building stages until the structure is complete. The beginner shelter had 3 stages to it and required me to physically carry large logs over to build, which I thought was pretty cool for immersion. Give me daytime, please. So when you go to sleep, it kind of like loads in the middle. You feel energized. But does that not make it go to the daytime? And this is the point where you can see that I went into ASKA completely blind. I lay down in the shelter expecting it to pass time until the morning. Nope, you cannot do that. Next we build the Eye of Odin. This is the structure where you summon villagers from. To do this, you need a resource called Jotun Blood, which can be mined from blue rocks around the map or dropped by enemies. So you've got this guy over here, Odis, who doesn't get hungry, which is nice, but he's super thirsty. He doesn't really offer any skills. This guy gives me a harvesting blessing, which is great, and also is less prone to illness. I wonder which one I'm going to choose. Don't know if I mentioned this, but this is as far out as you can zoom, and this is as far in as you can zoom. And the game also does have a lot of field of view options, so if you put it on max, this is what it looks like. It's less immersive, isn't it? 55. Yeah, that looks good. Next, I was told to create a stonecutter's pit, gatherer's pit, and a lumberjack pit. This is where I realized that the game is designed that your villagers do the vast majority of the gathering. Place it here, I suppose. Our new follower has arrived. I feel my strength increasing. Is he just going to follow me around? What's he doing? Just running off gathering? No way. I want to follow him. I want to see what he's up to. Where are you going, brother? Our base is not in that direction, my friend. Is he's just like doing squats, or is he like gathering? I guess he's gathering. Is he going to build this structure for me? No way. He's just building it for me. I thought I was going to have to build this entire town by myself, and the followers would just stand there and not really do anything. And that was the end of ASKA's tutorial. Now I was on my own, and it all goes downhill from here. Usually getting to this point takes like 10 minutes of gameplay, but with me going in blind and being a bit slow, I was 1 hour deep at this point. We need fuel for lights. Did not find stick. I'm homeless. Please give me a place to sleep. Next we built some more basic structures, recruited another villager, then I got my first random event pop up. This? Oh, fuck. Yeah, I think that is really unsettling because I can't actually see what it is. Oh my god, a wolf. Dodge. The combat's a bit sketchy, I have to say. Wolfsbane. Oh, finally, I can make better tools. Starting out in this game is fucking rough. Oh, what's that? What's that? Oh, what? Oh my god, a bear. Run. It's like it's a stone bear. Just run, it'll de-aggro. Right? Right. Recruit more villagers, upgrade my tools to tier 2, and then my villagers decided to stop working. Why are these guys just sitting near me, looking sad? I suppose it's because they're homeless. Why are you no longer working here, brother? Upgrading the Eye of Odin to tier 2. Housing. How have I not unlocked housing? You must build a gatherer's stonecutter and a woodcutter's hut. And this is the point where the game's tutorial could have done a better job. I realized my workers stopped working because they were homeless and needed to sleep, but opening the build menu it said that I didn't have housing unlocked. Cottage is the first thing listed and it takes a fair bit of extra progression to unlock. What I didn't know was that you can actually house your followers in your basic shelter and make multiple basic shelters. I think this is something the tutorial should teach you, as it'd have solved a lot of my issues, and shelter should probably also be listed in housing. The villagers starting to come together. The next hour was really rough. I'd been so slow at getting my workers housed that they'd all stopped working due to tiredness, so I manually upgraded all the buildings myself, unlocked the cottage, built that myself, and we had to deal with our first blood moon, which left my villagers depressed because we had no defenses, so they felt unsafe to sleep in their own home. Age left? Oh my god, a villager left. He was so unhappy. I literally just built him a house. Keeping these people happy is not easy. Oh, it's just turned summer. Yeah, the game's looking way more beautiful in summer. With my villagers finally housed, it was time to take care of their safety concerns, so I set about building a barracks as well as crafting weapons for everyone. I also placed a fishing hut, and after getting some sleep, my villagers finally started working again. I also upgraded my workshop to tier 2. Something I think this game seriously needs to improve on is the user interface, because I wanted to upgrade these buildings, right? I wanted to upgrade Stonecutter level 2 to Stonecutter's house. But to do that, I need to build a carpenter. So the first thing I did was open this build menu to try and find carpenter. And I scrolled through this menu, and there's a horizontal scroll wheel here, which makes it incredibly difficult to navigate. There's no search functionality in the buildings. And I was looking through that for like 10 minutes, couldn't find it. I realized eventually that to find carpenter, I had to go here. But to build a carpenter, I need to first build a metal worker. And to build a metal worker, I need to first build a bloomery. But each time, when it said build metal worker, I would open up this, because logically it sounded like a separate thing. So it's quite difficult to find the buildings that you need to build, because there's like separate menus here for the standalone buildings, yet some things you need to build are upgrades from other buildings. Aside from my critique of the UI being quite hard to navigate as a new player, another thing that annoyed me at this point was the lack of ability to move your buildings. To do this, you need to destroy the building and rebuild it in a new location. You do get all the resources back, but it's not a fast process. Oh god. I've just ate a poison mushroom. Wait, a magic mushroom. I feel drowsy and happy. If you don't see like special monsters whilst you're high on magic mushrooms, then that's a missed opportunity. Next, I set my sights on progressing my tools and weapons to iron, which would require me to build multiple new buildings and also set up a mine near a cave entrance. Each map contains 3 caves, and it's recommended that you build your base near a cave that's also not too far from the ocean, but I didn't do this. I need to go to bed, but I'm absolutely addicted. By day 11, things were starting starting to progress. I had warriors defending the village, I had huntsmen equipped with bows to hunt down food, and I'd started to feel the game making me more and more addicted. I was still, however, struggling to keep NPCs working, keeping them happy, and at times it felt like I was taking one step forward, two steps back, until I realised I'd made a huge mistake on day 14. Oh my god, the game should have taught me this in the tutorial, this markers thing. So I was wondering why my hunters have stopped hunting things, and I need to place a flag in an area for them to go hunt, because by default it's just near the base. So if I want them to go travel out further and go hunt things, I'm gonna need to place a flag for that. And the same thing goes for my people gathering resources. Oh my god, that's why they was only going to such a limited place. Day 15, it was time to make a decision. Winter was approaching, I had no food, invasions were getting harder, and I still couldn't figure out why my workers weren't mining the cave. At this point, I'd made so many mistakes, fundamental things like not using the flag markers, not setting up NPCs' work schedules, and not building a farm early on for food, that it was inevitable that this run was cooked and I wouldn't make it through the winter. So I decided to start over. I kind of want to start again for the third time. It's like the more you play the game, the better you get at it, and you realize how far ahead you could get by just prioritizing things a little bit differently. It's one of those games where you're just gonna have multiple playthroughs. We had a good run. We go again. So what went wrong with playthrough number 2? Well, things were going great. I built the farm, I was progressing quickly, my workers weren't leaving due to unhappiness, and I was preparing to build a cook station to cook my harvested food from the farm. But I go check my crops and there's nothing there. Where's the food, brother? You should have loads of food. Turns out, if you don't set permissions on food storages, your villagers will just help themselves to your raw vegetables, so you've got nothing to cook higher tier food with. On day 17, with 20 villagers, I realised that we're not going to have enough food to make it through the winter. GG, cue montage of playthrough number 3. And as much as playthrough number 3 was going pretty well, I started to get really addicted to the idea of efficiency in this game. Playthrough 3 was going good, but it took me 5 days to get a farm up and running. I wanted to start again one more time. On the 4th run, I was absolutely speeding through progression and had my farm placed down early in day 2 with almost 5 villagers. I delayed building the cottage and opted to just spam 9 basic shelters down first to get all the important buildings up and running quickly. Whilst waiting for my followers to build, I would mine Jot and Blood to have as little downtime as possible waiting for the new villagers to be summoned. Day 4, 9 villagers, 9 shelters, farm up and running, tier 2 tools produced. Day 5, place the barracks and set up patrol routes so my villagers feel safe. Also set one of the NPCs as a crafter to supply high tier crafting tools to allow my villagers to collect stones and wood more efficiently. Day 6, 13 villagers and we'd already completed building the cottage. Villagers had a healthy supply of food from both foragers as well as an NPC that I'd assigned to cook the meat supplied by my hunters. The next few days we continued expansion. I'd remembered to set permissions on all raw food storages to avert the same problem as the last playthrough, and the only thing left to solve was the quality of the food, which my villagers were unhappy with. Here's where my early farm rush paid off. By day 8, I was crafting tier 2 soups and stockpiling them in the warehouse. To do this, first you need to discover the recipe before you can cook and produce them. With this sorted, I made a bunch of warehouses, and as autumn rolled by, I had tier 3 tools, I was producing iron, I had a big stockpile of food, and I was ready to see if we had what it took to brave the winter. When you turn the UI off and under certain lighting conditions, mists popping up from the floor, it does actually look pretty nice. It's certainly a vibe. Like, look at this vibe. You can almost feel the cold coming off the ground. And we've just transitioned to winter. Okay, I am now fully clothed. However, there is a worrying coldness meter in the bottom corner. To refill the coldness meter, you need to go near the fire for a bit. This is one of the first survival games I've ever played where it genuinely does feel like you're properly surviving the elements, surviving the season. A lot of the plants seem like they're dead. We need to see what grows during the winter. Probably nothing. Off-season. Flax. Beetroot. Okay. So we just want to plant loads of beetroot. Oh my god, it's minus 16. We are starting to drain through this food pretty quickly. Everyone alert. First winter blood moon. Oh, next wave. I can actually, if I time my attacks correctly. Oosh, no, I cannot solo. That great sword does giga damage. Blood moon survived. Honestly, I was so well prepared that the first winter wasn't too bad. We dealt with enemies no problem, my villagers were okay, we had food, and I thought that I'd soon be ending this video. It's spring! Wait, we just beat the winter? I thought there was going to be like a boss or something. I'm not really too sure if I'm ready to stop playing yet, to be honest. I was having a really good time. The thing I like about this game is that it gives you a really long-term sense of progression. Like, I've been playing literally all day. I think probably 10 hours of playtime on this playthrough, and this is like my 4th playthrough. And I have not even got myself any decent armor yet. I haven't even unlocked the 4th tier of tools yet. I haven't taken on any bosses. I've hardly explored the map. I've spent the entire first year getting my settlement to be self-sustaining. And that right there is the goal of year 1, make a self-sustaining settlement. But sure enough, the game wasn't finished with me yet. And just as I was about to start editing this video, I got an alert that made me play for 1 more year. A portal just spawned, darkness is coming, the gods will test you. Day 55, year 2. The gods tested me. Blow the horn. Oh my god. Hit him in the choke point. Holy! Yeah, that is a real invasion. We are going to have some casualties here, I think. 1 star. We've lost 1 already. This is a real survival game. Holy. It's another one we've lost. Hold the gates. I was underprepared. Oh my god, there's a whole army of them. Sound the alarm. Big damage. Oh, they're smashing through my walls. The game wasn't kidding when it said the gods are coming to test you. No! So many survival games just don't really have a proper failure state. This is the point where you'll be restarting all over again, like 20, 30 hours worth of gameplay gone. And I love that there's that risk. My base is completely cooked. Victory! And now begins... Oh. This person's bloody froze to death. I spent the next couple of days cleaning up the corpses from my base, rebuilding structures, and resurrecting my fallen villagers. During this time, my whole winter fuel situation almost collapsed due to default settings having your villagers prioritize burning firewood over coal, which is inefficient. There's actually a lot of examples of default permissions screwing you over, whether it be default building whitelists, warehouse deposit quantity, or item prioritization. I rode out the winter, spring came, the base was looking better than ever, and our journey in ASKA had finally come to an end. So after attempting to do a first impressions video on ASKA and accidentally turning into a 70-hour review, my thoughts on the game so far are as follows. Pros. Visually, I think the game looks good, especially in certain lighting. I love that it feels like a true survival experience with seasons and environmental challenges being just as deadly as the enemies. The game is highly engaging due to constantly having to assess your priorities. Time absolutely flew by whilst I was playing this. I like that the game doesn't give you too many custom options to ruin your sense of progression and challenge. The sense of progression is insanely addictive. Even though I was frustrated whilst learning the game in the beginning, I didn't want to stop playing. I think the overall design of the game gives it the potential to have an infinitely long endgame. Perhaps after a few years, invasion portals could eventually occur once per season. More varied challenges, more seasonal random events. The possibilities for expansion with this game are endless. Having NPCs do the majority of the gathering feels really good. I love that there's a very real chance that you can lose everything and have to start again if you fail. The game has an active modding community, which I think the devs should take inspiration from for future quality of life additions. And the game feels quite immersive, with attention to detail such as buildings slowly getting built up in stages, gatherables appearing on your character, and enemy corpses not despawning unless you mine them. Cons. The character creation is fairly basic. I dislike that you can't move buildings, although to be fair, this could be a design choice to make your decisions matter more. For me, I would prefer if you could just move them. The game's new player experience is very limited, and if you go in blind, you're almost guaranteed to not make it through the winter. Simple things like not being introduced to resource markers or understanding what they do screwed me on my first playthrough. The game has a lot of default settings that can grief you really hard. I noticed this especially when building warehouse storages, but you're also not taught about building permissions unless you dig through the menu. The game's UI is quite difficult to navigate, especially if you have a lot of villagers. There's no UI search functionality, and overall I'd say the user interface is the biggest thing this game needs to improve on. The game lacks interesting daytime dynamic events. I enjoyed blood moons, but they only occur during the night. You've got the wolf event during the day, but that's pretty easy. Give me a proper daytime invasion. The game's combat, whilst not too bad when you get used to it, could still use some improvement, and I think the game needs to do a better job of visually displaying why an NPC has stopped working, as sometimes it can take quite a bit of figuring out. Overall, ASKA is now comfortably a top 3 favourite survival game for me. It started out rough, but when I learned how it worked, I really fell in love with the game's depth, potential, and the way it doesn't suffer from things that I dislike about other survival games. That being said, I can completely understand why some people might have had a negative first impressions, because the new player experience is really rough. If you do persist and put in the time to learn the game though, it's definitely worth it. But that's it for this video. This was actually the most challenging video I've ever edited. My new editor edited the intro, but I had to somehow take 34 hours of footage and cut it down into a watchable story within 2 days. I hope it was entertaining, and I'm definitely going to try to take more of a quality over quantity approach to content going forward. So please help us out with a like if you enjoyed the vid, and subscribe to the channel for more MMO and survival game coverage in the future. Let us know what you think about ASKA in the comments, click the link in the description to buy the game, social media on screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.